Good everyone. Today we'll be looking at a poem that goes by the title Fields and Gardens by the River Chi. This subject of discourse today will be taking us on a journey, both spatial and temporal journey. That is, our journey will not only be through space, it will be through time as well, taking us far into the Tang dynasty, to a period of about 1,200 years ago. I'll be considering the social factors as well as the historical factor that gave birth to a line of thoughts that we witness or that we're about to witness in this poem. This poem was written by Wang Wei, a prominent figure in the Tang dynasty. Wang Wei ranks alongside so many great figures or luminaries of Chinese history as one of the greatest poetic to ever grace historical realm in history. So we have so many great names as well from the Tang dynasty, such as Li Bai, such as Du Fu, and a whole lot of them. Now, this journey will be taking us through centuries old rituals as well as temples that dot old palaces from the old capital of Chang'an to that of Luoyang. Now, our poet, Wang Wei, was born around the year 701 AD or 699 AD, and he lived through some very exciting moments in Chinese history. So like we mentioned earlier, he lived in the Tang dynasty. So, and he had a brother also who worked as an official in the court of the Tang emperors, starting from Emperor Xuanzong to Emperor Zhuzong. Now, the name of his brother was Wang Jing, who we'll be talking about later, because he played a prominent role in saving Wang Wei's life at some point in Wang Wei's life. Now, Wang Wei was the eldest of 5 brothers. So, and he was born in the province of Jiangxi, which is in northern China. It was ethnically Han, and about the age of 19, he traveled to the capital of Chang'an and he took a state exam where he came out top, and as a result, he was able to secure a position in the emperor's court as a court musician or a court poet. Now, another prominent aspect or very important aspect of Wang Wei's life is his religious life, because he was a very devoted Buddhist. He was a devout Buddhist, and his Buddhist leanings can be seen reflecting too many of his words. So now let us consider this poem in question. And the poem goes thus: I dwell apart by the river Chi, where the eastern wilds stretch far without hills. The sun darkens beyond the mulberry trees. The river glistens through the villages. Shepherd boys depart, gazing back to their hamlets. Hunting dogs return, following their men. When a man is at peace, what business does he have? I shut fast my rustic door throughout the day. Some sort of conclusion can be drawn from this poem, and this poem can serve as a window into the thoughts of a character like Wang Wei. So looking at it line by line, we look at the first one: I dwell apart by the river Chi, where the eastern wilds stretch far without hills. Now he's talking about himself sitting by a river, and now River Chi is one of the tributaries of the Xiang River. The Xiang River, in turn, is another tributary of the Yangtze River. And anyone who is familiar with the history of China knows the salient role the Yangtze River as well as the Yellow River played throughout the history of China. Whilst the Yellow River dominated the north, the Yangtze River or the Yangtze dominated the south, and it shaped political as well as economic history of China. Now, we know Wang Wei served as government official in different capacities, and he was sent to different provinces. At some point, he worked at the capital, which was Chang'an, and at some point, he suffered demotion and he was demoted to some rural province, particularly the Hebei province, where he worked in the granary. Now, this poem, we know it must have been written in some place of serene ambience, considering the theme we are seeing throughout the poem. So he said, the next line, he said, the sun darkens beyond the mulberry trees, and the river glistens through the villages. So now he's telling us about the sun darkening beyond a certain mulberry tree. So apparently, we know he's talking about the poem is written in some sunset period, where everywhere was somewhat serene, where everywhere was somewhat serene, because he said the sun was darkening. That is, the sun, it was approaching a period of twilight or a period of sunset. Now he said, shepherd boys depart, gazing back to their hamlet. So he's talking about shepherd boys now, who set out in the morning. They were already returning back to their hamlets. That is, they are coming back to their hamlet. They are returning from their daily activities. Hunting dogs return, following their men. Hunting dogs that set out in the morning with the hunters were already returning with their men as well. So he now said, when a man is at peace, what business does he have? I shut fast my rustic door throughout the day. Now, a place Wang Wei was serving as a court official. He was not in some secluded mountain area like a hermit. He still had people around, but the place was so serene and so removed from so many commercial or busy activities that cities such as Chang'an were known for back in the days. So now we've seen the line of thought Wang Wei invites us to witness in this poem. And for me personally, I see some of Wang Wei's Buddhist leaning reflecting in these words he wrote, because considering the teachings of the Buddha himself, Siddhartha Gautama, when we look at the experiences he had that shaped his thoughts, that ended up giving rise to the culture or to the ideals of Buddhism, we would know that the Buddha himself was a character that took life very simple and emphasized the role of simplicity in human approach towards life. So now, judging by the experiences recorded in H.G. Wells' Outline of History that he said the Buddha himself had, with his character in the person of Channa, where he saw an aged person for the first time, where he saw a carcass for the first time, where he saw a sick person for the first time. Those experiences completely shaped his life and his thoughts and his approach towards life. Now, another prominent figure, because by the time of Wang Wei, Buddhism in the Tang Dynasty was already what we would call a household practice in China at the time. And then before Wang Wei, a certain figure in the Tang Dynasty traveled to India around the year 627 AD with the person of Xuanzang, who went into India to collect the primary script of Buddhism, that is the Pali Canon, which is mainly used still till today by the Theravada form of Buddhism, which is common in places till today, in places in Southeast Asia like Thailand, and in places in Sri Lanka and some part of India, which is the original home of Buddhism, where Buddhism originates. Now, Wang Wei, towards the latter part of his life, found himself in a labyrinth of trouble because he got drawn into the Anlushan rebellion that took place around the year 755 AD, one of these great rebellions that shook the Tang Dynasty, because the Tang Dynasty itself, that was the same way the Tang Dynasty came to power, overthrowing the Sui Dynasty after they had reunited China after a very great period of turmoil. So Wang Wei got caught up in the middle of the Anlushan rebellion, and the Anlushan rebellion turned out eventually to be unsuccessful. So after that rebellion, Wang Wei was labeled a treasonous person, and as a result, he was marked for death. If it wasn't for the intervention of his brother, his younger brother Wang Jin, who served in the court of the Emperor Suzong, who pleaded on his behalf, and as a result, Wang Wei was eventually pardoned, and he was demoted. He was demoted before he eventually got promoted again, finally to the stage to the position of deputy prime minister, and he held this position till he died around the year 671 AD. So looking at Wang Wei, at least we're able to journey to some great lines of history, and in Wang Wei's word invites us to see to see the thoughts of men long gone.